We're now joined by Phil Bennett, longtime college football coach, with us on 365 Sports in Longview to see his great younger brother. And Jerry, how's he doing?
You know, it's been a good day. I was very pleased. I got here around lunch, and from a week, he's improved. And we're in Longview Christus Hospital, and it's the long care rehabilitation. Good people, and I think he made some headway.
That's awesome. I know it was dire there for a week or so ago, Phil. Good to hear that. All right, let's go to BYU and Utah. They hate each other, the holy war, and then you have the ending, the holding call against Utah after a sack, and then the AD goes off. Your thoughts about just that whole scene?
Well, first of all, Smoke, you don't end games on calls like that. That call was I didn't think it was significant enough to be called. And the fact that it got called at that point, it was sack, it was pressure, he wasn't going to get that ball off, and it might have been somewhat of a grab, but I think 9 times out of 10 that's a no call, and it's unfortunate, but it cost Utah the game.
Okay, what do you think about the AD going in and hurling grenades?
Don't like it. Don't like it. Paul, I remember last year, one time I told you, I like Mac Rhodes, but I don't like him on the sideline. I don't, you've got a job to do. I don't like ADs to get involved in something like that. And I would bet you that he probably regrets it. We're all somewhat to a degree fans. But coaches and athletic officials have to separate themselves from that.
Coach, BYU is in control of their own destiny. They just need to win out. They'll be in Arlington. Colorado has now become the number 2 team, and if the season were to end today, it would be those two in Arlington playing one another. Your thoughts on just year 2 for Deion and where they've found themselves now and how they've managed to find themselves here?
Craig, more than anything, I've noticed that Deion is not pushing the button on getting recognized as much as he is coaching. I mean, there's been a lot less production, I would say, from just him being there, and I think it's benefited his team. And I'm definitely going to give him props, him, his staff, and his players. From where they came from, I think week 2 or 3 at Nebraska, that's a good coaching job, and there's positive things going on there. And you watch them. I watched that Tech game, and even the end of the Baylor game, the kids believe in what they're doing, and that's a product of him. And I don't think it's as flamboyant as it's been, and I think that's been a plus for him. I think it's more about the players than it is about him, and it's about the players and the program right now. And without question, that's helped them.
All right, you're a defensive dude. They've got some animals. They got some animals on that front 7, don't they? They got a guy. Just destroyed. Tech did well, moved the ball well, but there were some plays made by what looked like grown-ass men.
Without question, that's the thing that you look at them. Their front 7 dominated Tech. And the one linebacker, I bet he weighs 260, takes a play action pass that is thrown 100 miles an hour and just picks that sucker right off and takes off down the field. They were some playmaking guys. And, I think the 2 coordinators that he settled in on have been instrumental in giving them a base of what they can do and how they can do it.
Miami got it taken to them by Georgia Tech. The Yellow Jackets ran right at them the whole game. Haynes King didn't have to throw. They kept rotating in a freshman when they needed something. Their defense got in Cam Ward's grill enough to make a difference, even though he did throw 3 touchdown passes. If you're Miami and you've given up some big numbers on defense the last few weeks, and then this one was they didn't even throw and beat you, second year in a row for Georgia Tech, are you hitting the panic button a little bit right now as you head towards a championship game potentially and a playoff?
Yeah, Paul, that the thing that with Miami all year, you can go back to the Virginia Tech game, last play of the game, it was a close call whether he caught the ball or not. Cal had him beat. If Cal makes one first down, the game's over. I think they're a team that has found ways to win, and which says a lot about them. But I don't believe they're a playoff level team. Never have felt that way. And unfortunately, I sort of feel the same way about BYU. I watched SMU early on miss opportunities to actually blow them out. They don't do it. They've had some games like that. But you have to give them credit. They found a way to win, but they're sure not winning with any style points.
Coach, you have any interest in becoming LSU's defensive coordinator? I hear they might be looking here pretty soon.
It's hard for me to watch them, and especially, I would think after the A&M game, Craig, that they would have spent more time with the power read, quarterback keep, and I look at a lot of these teams and their soundness on what they're doing, and that's a team right now. I don't know how much better they are defensively. I really don't. And when I say that, I think they have better players, but I think schematically they really have some issues that they're dealing with. The same play that the Reed kid at A&M killed them with on Milrose, I think on one of the 4th down and 2 plays, he goes 72 yards. And I also see a team in Alabama that I think their coaches have found out, hey, this is what we can do well, and this is how we can do it. They're going to be a team to be contended with.
Phil, as a guy that has seen offenses change from the days of the option or the triple option or the wishbone or all of the things, and then people started throwing the ball, and then, of course, the wide open, the spread, whatever we want to call it, the run and shoot. But now with what we have, it's kind of a mixture, but people are still pretty much in the spread or whatever it's called. Do you see any changes in what defenses are doing from what was the standard 4-3-4? And then, of course, there's that 4-2-5. And it's still, but have you seen anything where people are counteracting what is out there?
The defense that people are trying to counteract it with is the Iowa State type. Playing a 3-3-5 with a hybrid safety. And now the problem with that, as you saw with TCU, is when people get in 12 personnel, 2 tight ends and 21 personnel and 22 personnel, they create gaps and you don't have the matchup that you need. I think right now, the most balanced teams, the teams that play well, you watch the teams that are, one of the things I look at right now with Oregon, they're a 4-2-5 and they run a little bit of a 3-man front on passing downs, but they're sold on their package. You mentioned Colorado the other night. Their 4-man front set the tempo, throughout the whole game. I think that you can run a lot of things, David, when you're talented, but when you're sound, most of the time, people will work it off of a 3-4 base or a 4-2-5 base and go from there.
Phil Bennett with us, longtime college football coach, on Mondays in the 5 o'clock hour. Paul?
Phil, do you think we just had Tim Brando on, and he does not remain all that impressed with Notre Dame. What do you think about Notre Dame and where they are? Their schedule looked better at the beginning of the year than it does now because a lot of teams on their schedule wound up not being very good. But that's, again, not their fault. What do you think about them?
I was extremely surprised the way they beat Navy. I thought that would be a closer game. The game was in the Meadowlands, and they totally dominated. I think they're a little bit, like I said, about Alabama. They have a new quarterback. They had some new people. Had that terrible game against the Northern Illinois team. I just see them getting better. The kids are more comfortable with what their coaches are asking them to do, what they're doing. Their offensive line that was extremely young is now starting to gel. Their quarterback's playing better. I saw someone say that they believe they're a playoff team, but are not a championship team. And I might agree with that right now. I look at their schedule. It's going to be hard to keep them out of the playoff. Now, one of the games I'm interested to watch them is the Army game. Army, had that drive this week against North Texas, and North Texas is not a very good run defense, but it was almost 14 minutes and 21 plays. I mean, that kills your defense, and your offense sits there twiddling their thumb for a whole quarter. So that will be an interesting game between Notre Dame and Army.
Coach, Texas continues to cruise. Florida is no juggernaut offensively, especially with a backup quarterback. And so far, Texas has not had to play the better offenses like an Ole Miss or a Tennessee or teams like that. They will get Arkansas, who's been pretty productive, though. But what do you see them doing defensively? Besides just being better than the teams they played, what are they doing defensively where they're having so much success?
They're very sound, just like they were last year. They gap the defense right. They get their numbers right. I've been impressed with the way they tackled. In the game Saturday, I thought that running the ball, I thought Billy Napier, who worked with me at Arizona State, I thought he had a good feel for the run game. And I thought Texas, there was a couple of breakaway runs that their secondary made great tackles. For some reason, I'm not sold on Texas as a team. I'm not sure about their toughness on their offensive line after the Georgia game. Their running schemes are mostly perimeter run schemes. A lot of their schemes the people that adjust to it, like Georgia did, play them well. I think that it's going to be interesting to me for them. They'll probably win the rest of their games. And I want to see them and A&M play for a SEC championship game, and that will be interesting. I'm not sure A&M is not as good or better than them.
Phil, you mentioned Billy Napier. It's a very unique and strange situation that they have going on there at Florida right now. They've got an interim president. Again, he's under the gun because of the season that they're having and how it's gone. Their AD also under the gun, and if he fired Billy Napier, he'd be making his third football hire. But they're sticking with him for now. Do you think he can get turned around in a year enough, or do you worry that they're just treading water until they get a new president and then all those guys are out? Not to mention they've got a really weird situation going on with a basketball coach they're probably going to have to fire.
The first thing I'm going to tell you, I think the basketball situation played out well for Billy. I do. But with that said, Strickland hired Billy, and Billy told him. He said, "We're gonna build this right. It might take some time. I'm very aware of what he told him, how he told him, and Billy has. And one of the reasons I think they all decided to say, hey, finish this year, do the best you can do, and next year's a big year for it. I think he's going to have an all-star quarterback that's going to, who's a freshman right now, an all-star running back. They're getting better mostly on defense, and I think it was the right thing to do. And I think after next year, I think Billy will even tell you, hey, that's fair, and we feel like we can turn this thing around.
Thank you very much. Tell Jerry we all said hi.
I will tell him.
Please do.
I just left his room, and he said to tell you guys hello.
Yeah, one of the best. Guys. All right, thank you, Phil. Appreciate your time. Phil Bennett coached a lot of different places, LSU, A&M, Oklahoma, Kansas State, of course, had the great run with them with Bill Snyder, Baylor with Art, and then Arizona State, and I'm not done. He's been the head coach at SMU. That didn't work out very well, but love his passion, knowledge, and insight. Plus, every time he comes on with us, do you ever guys notice it? Well, I know the offensive line coach at Tennessee, or just wherever it is, he has people that know those who are in or on some of these staffs. We appreciate him on Mondays.